We're up to Berachos, we're up to Daf Tesvav, and we're beginning Yud Dalet with base 2 lines from the bottom. Ula. Kol HaKoyer Kriya Shema b'lei tefillin. Somebody reads Kriya Shema without adorning tefillin. Kilu meid eideh sheker ba'atzmo. He's like saying eideh sheker atzmo on himself. What does on himself mean? Says Rashi. Kilu meid eideh sheker ba'atzmo lishne me'alya. He's using a lashon sagina. That kilu, that is testifying neged HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that he doesn't believe in Hashem. So for to understand this, I will share with you the following. This is taken from the Tur in Orach Chaim Chaf Hei Hilchos Tefillin. So he brings the memra. Says the Gemara, says the Tur. Go to the bathroom. We'll see that in a second. Vital Yadav, you have tefillin, v'yikra kriya shema v'yispalo, v'amaula kol hakari kriya shema v'lei tefillin, anyone lays kriya shema tefillin, kilumeid eideh sheker batzmo. It's like testifying eideh sheker batzmo. So we have the Bach over here. The Bach says kilumeid eideh sheker batzmo. Pirish Rashi lishnem aliyah nakar akan l'shoinei nira. The Ritzon Ulama. What does Rashi want to say? He wants to go ahead and be miyaked, say HaKadosh Baruch Hu is one, the only one with his whole heart. And this is what he's tying on his hands. And this is what he is going ahead and bringing to his eye, between his eyes. So therefore, that's what tefillin does. Nimshach miseh. So in other words, when you're wearing tefillin and you say these things, the psukim and so you're combining the synthesizing the tefillin and the synthesizing the tefillin. Synthesizing the tefillin and the Yichud Hashem of HaKadosh Baruch and Yichud Hashem of HaKadosh Baruch Hu of Shemei Tefillah, of not Shemei Tefillah, excuse me, of Kriya Shema, it comes together. Nimshach miseh she'einu maniach tefillin, when you don't wear tefillin, near a k'meirei dusa alav yisbarach she'einu yakid. In other words, it's counterintuitive. By not wearing the tefillin, you're saying what you're saying. You don't believe that it's not true that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Yachveh Lamai. Shal kain einu manichim l'hayros. That's why you're not wearing them, to show al yichudai. This is the eideh sheker that you're being made on him, Yisbarach. So that's the way the Bach explains Rashi. The Bach with Yoel Surkis is explaining Rashi that you're being precise in your words. On one hand, you're saying words of Yichud Hashem. On the other hand, by not bringing tefillin, which substantiates that, you're saying I don't believe in it, and therefore that's the way he explains it. Beautiful. Rabbeinu Yaina Pirish. Rabbeinu Yaina explains Kimeshmai, that it's not speaking about a Kodesh Baruch Hu, it's speaking about yourself. Shemei sheker al atzmo, on the person. Pirush kilu meid shemashu oimer shetziva hu yizbarach b'tayrasei. That a Kodesh Baruch Hu commanded him in his Torah. Ukishartem liyos al yadecha. Eino oimer be'emes. It's not true. Shilahoya emes shetziva Hashem yizbarach kach. Because if Kodesh Baruch Hu Taka commanded us this, he would go ahead, fulfill the mitzvah. Because Baruch Hu really did do it, and you're not fulfilling it. So that, according to Rabbeinu Yoina, that would be that is eight on itself. So you have two pshat and Rashi, as explained by the Bach, that your belief of the words of Kriya Shema by not wearing tefillin, because tefillin substantiates that, and the words of the Rabbeinu Yoina, that by not wearing it, you're being made on yourself. That Kadosh Baruch Hu's words are sheker. Anyway, says the Gemara, right? Beautiful chazal. You're saying the right thing. You're bringing the carbon, but every carbon was accompanied with what? With a carbon mincha, and you're not being maf the mincha by not wearing the tefillin. Or v'zevach b'lei nesachim, where you're bringing a carbon without accompanying l'sachim, the wine that was accompanying it. Someone who wants to go ahead, this is the Torah we saw. Someone who wants to mekabel ol malchus shemayim shalema. Someone who wants to mekabel ol malchus shemayim in its full way, right? Yifneh should go to the bathroom. The Yitel Yadav, wash his hands. The Yiniach Tefillin, put on Tefillin. The Yikro Kriya Shema, say Kriya Shema. The Yispalel, and say Shmon Esrei. The Zuhi Malchus Shemayim Shlema, and that is Malchus Shemayim Shlema. Rabbi Yoina explains that the Tefillin Shal Roish Keneged the Moich is Keneged the Neshama, because the Neshama is in the Moich, in the brain. The Kshat Nomes Ayatcha is Keneged the Leiv, and that's the Guf. That's the Keneged the Guf, the physical aspect of a person. And therefore, when you say Kriya Shema and Davin, right, you Meshabed the Kadosh Baruch Hu, your Neshama and your Guf together. And the Mele, it's all Malchus Shemayim Shalema. It's a complete all Malchus Shemayim. So, Rabbi Yoina. Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Rabbi Yochanan, Kol Anifna B'Neitel Yadav. Anyone who goes to the bathroom and washes his hands when they tefillin, the Kriya Shema V'Spalu, Malav Akosav Kilu Bonim Mizbeach. It's like you built a Mizbeach. The Hikar Love Karban, and you brought Karbanis on it. The Chsiv Erchatz B'Nikoyon Kapai V'Soyevo Es Mizbachacho Hashem. So Erchatz, I'll wash B'Nikoyon Kapai with the cleanliness of my hands. But I'll go ahead and surround this Mizbeach Kodesh Baruch Hu. Only Rabbi, like what are you limited to washing your hands? It's like tavel. It's like you would tavel in a mikvah. The chsiv erchatz v'nikiyim. Like chsiv architz kapai. Doesn't he wash your hands? Erchatz v'nikiyim. So it's mashma that by washing your hands and doing this, it's even better. It's like you went into the mikvah. I'm going to feel Rava. Do you see this young Talmud Chacham, the Rashi in Tainus? I think in the beginning, Dafdal, hey, early in Tainus says that a Tzumar Rabban is a young Talmud Chacham. The Asam in Marav, he came up from Eretz Yisrael. V'Amar Misha ein le'mayim l'irchatz yadav. A person doesn't have water to wash his hands. The kaneach yadav ba'afar. Let him go ahead and wipe his hands in dirt, ubitzur, or with pebbles, ubiksamim, or splinter, sawdust, or splinter, something, something. Rub your hands. Amle shapik kamar. Saying very good. Mikasiv architz b'mayim. It doesn't say architz b'mayim, washing hands with mayim before you daven. It says b'nikiyon. It says b'nikiyon with cleanliness. Kol midi de menake. Anything that will go ahead and make you clean. The Rav Chisda light amanda mahadar amaya. The Rav Chisda would curse anyone who would go after water be eaten tzilus in the time you're supposed to daven Shmon Esrei. And I guess you have to take out the tzilus of the Shmon Esrei. But hani mili the Kriya Shema. That's only in Kriya Shema. Right? What does the Bach say? Bahani mili pochas me'mil chayzer. Okay, he takes out these words. Anyway, l'chol pochas. The Gemara says, "Hani mili l'kriya shema tefillah for Shmon Esrei mahader." You should, since it's not contingent on time. You have time to do it. Kriya shema is exact time, where tefillah is not exact time, and therefore ad kama ad parsa. Now they do take it out. Parsa is 4 mil. They do take it out because there is this amount of tefillah. Bahani mili l'kame, that's to go in front of you, to go ahead 4 mil, which is aval achareh tefillah mil. Even a quarter less, 3 quarters less, a mil ain't a chayzer. You know, a mil who ain't a chayzer, hapachas mil chayzer. To go back, retrace your steps, less than a mil you would, more than a mil not. Going ahead, you go a parsa to go ahead and get water. Okay, next Mishnah. A Kriya Shema, someone learns Kriya Shema, and he doesn't hear. He's saying it, but he doesn't hear it. Yatsa, he would be Yatsa. Rabbi Yossi Yomer lo Yatsa. We're going to see that this means b'di'ev l'chatchila. We'll see. Kara v'lo digdik b'Isayasa. He reads it, but he's not medagdik in the Isius. Rabbi Yossi Yomer Yatsa. He's Mekel. Rabbi Yehuda Yomer lo Yatsa. So Rabbi Yossi was machmir by listening to your ears, and the Tanakama was more Mekel. And the Indian being medagdik in the Isius, Rabbi Yossi is more Mekel, and Rabbi Yehuda is more machmir. Hakarel Mafreya, someone reads the psukim out of water and kolshkin the words out of water, lo Yatsa. However, the parshiyasi would be Yatsa. I think so. He makes a mistake. I'm not sure about what I just said about the parshiyas. I should take that back. If he makes a mistake, he should go back to make the mistakes. The Gemara will explain. The Gemara will explain. Okay, the Gemara now is going to get in a little cheshbon. We see from Pashtus in the Mishnah, Rabbi Yossi's mashma, even b'di'evid, you won't be Yotze Kriya Shema if you don't hear it. And Rabbi Yehuda's mashma, you Yotze lechatchila. That's the mashmois. Again, Rabbi Yossi says lo Yotze afilu b'di'evid, and Rabbi Yehuda says Yotze afilu lechatchila. This is going to come into conflict with the halacha of truma. The truma of a cheresh who can speak but can't hear. He makes the bracha on truma. We're going to see the halacha regarding Berachos Hamazon and also by the Megillah. So we're going to try to fit those shittas in by Truma, by Berachos Hamazon, and by Megillah. My time with Rabbi Yossi. What's Rabbi Yossi's reasoning that if you don't hear, you're not Yotze? Mishum d'chsiv, Shma. Your ears should hear what comes out of your mouth. Tanakama says you don't have to hear. What does he do with the word Shema? We had this early in the Masechta that any Shema can be said in any language. Rabbi Yossi Tarti Shema. No, Rabbi Yossi hears both from the word Shema. Taran Hasan. Now we're going to ask a question. A cheresh who can speak but he can't hear. So lo yitron, he shouldn't take off Trumas Samai. So why? Because he can't hear the bracha. So it's mashma that you should lechatchila be able to hear the bracha. The im taram, and if he does do it, truma say truma. So this obviously is the din lechatchila. Litchachila, he shouldn't take off truma. B'di'eved, he should go ahead and b'di'eved, he should go ahead and you will be yaitza. So you got a problem now. Rabbi Yossi says I feel b'di'eved not by Kriya Shema, and Rabbi Yehuda says I feel lechatchila yes by Kriya Shema. Yet over here we seem to have a b'di'eved yes, and we don't have a Tana who would go ahead and agree with that. Man Tana cheresh hamadavin shmei b'di'eved in lechatchila loy. Rav Chisda, Rabbi Yossi, it's Rabbi Yossi. Did nan hakoresh shema v'leishmiel oznoi yatsa did Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi lo yatsa. Says the Gemara. Well, maybe not. I feel it. Says the Gemara. She yatsa. I'd come like Rabbi Yossi lo yatsa that you're not yatsa el gabe kriyashma. Only by kriyashma deraisa. Because deraisa. Amol truma, which is truma. Who? Mishum bracha is the rabban of bracha talim also. Okay, so the first way to escape this problem is simply in our Mishnah where he said you're not yotza filu b'di'eved is because it says Shema. Where it doesn't say Shema, you would be yotza. Why? Because it's not the raisa. The rabbanon, brachas is the rabbanon, and the bracha is not ma'akiv. So lechatchila should hear the bracha, but the cheresh, if he can't hear the bracha, he would be yotza. So this would be Rabbi Yossi and not Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda will allow even lechatchila without being able to hear the bracha to go ahead and mafish truma. How do you know it's Rabbi Yossi? Maybe it's Rabbi Yehuda, right? When he said Rabbi Yehuda said Yotza, we assume when Yotza lechatchila, maybe it means Yotza only b'di'eved. Right? Teda, what's the proof? Diktani hakoira. It says hakoira, the one that lanes. Mashma that you should not. But if you do, the evident lechatchila loy. So why are you limiting it to Rabbi Yossi, the Tana of the Mishnah of Truma? Maybe it could be Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda holds by what? By Yeshma. It's also only b'di'eved. Maybe. Says Gemara, no. Amri. Hi Diktoni Akoira. Really, Rabbi Yehuda holds the Chatchila. You could learn Kriya Shema without hearing, and therefore he cannot be the Tana of Truma because Truma is only b'di'eved. So why do you use the lashon of b'di'eved of Akoira in our Mishnah, which is mashma b'di'eved the lashon? Why do you use that? What's the reason? The Yomid, the Eved, Nami Loi, the Rabbi Yehuda, feel Nami Yotza. In other words, it's to go ahead and say to extremes. Rabbi Yehuda said, Lo Yotza b'di Eved. It's not to say he holds the Chatchila, yes, but it's to show that the Kayach of what? Of Rabbi Yehuda, of Rabbi Yossi, the Lashon of B'di Eved, and Rabbi Yossi said, B'di Eved, even B'di Eved, you're not Yotza. That's why you use Lashon B'di Eved. Not to tell me Rabbi Yehuda would hold B'di Eved, yes. Rabbi Yehuda said, L'chatchila, yes. I want to use B'di Eved. To tell me Rabbi Yossi's no. So therefore, who's the Tana of the Bayatayrim? Pashtus is only Rabbi Yossi, and make the chilik between Truma being the Kriya Shema being the Raisa, and Truma being the Rabbi. Now, the Mayukmi, so how the Zetzline, the Mishnah in Trumis, according to Rabbi Yossi, Tanya now. Let's go to another case. Berachos Hamazon. The person should not lean in his heart, really his mind. Then birach yaitza. So b'di'eved you be yaitza over here. Now here you got a problem because benching is the raisa. Says Gemara, it can be loy Rabbi Yossi or loy Rabbi Yehuda. Why? Let's theorize before. It can't be Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says I feel l'chatchila. It can't be Rabbi Yossi because Rabbi Yossi says Kriya Shema since it's the Raisa b'di'eved not. I Truma that's under Rabbanan bracha. Here since this is the Raisa benching just like Kriya Shema you're not Yotza if you don't hear. So too here you won't be Yotza if you hear. Yet the Brisa says by benching you would be Yotza. So we have a problem. It can't be Rabbi Yehuda because Rabbi Yehuda lechatchila. It can't be Rabbi Yossi because Rabbi Yossi says I feel b'di'eved now. No. Di Rabbi Yehuda ha'amal lechatchila nami Yotza. Any Rabbi Yossi, the Eved Nami Loi. So very geschmack. Elamai, what do you have to say? Says the Gemara, Ela must be Rabbi Yehuda, the Eved in Lechatchila Loi. And therefore, let's go back and retract. In our Mishnah, we thought that Rabbi Yehuda said only lechatchila, and he only used lashon b'di'eved to be what? To show the koyach of Rabbi Yossi. No, Kari means b'di'eved yaitza. B'di'eved yaitza. And he could be the Mishnah of Truma then as well. And therefore, he's the Tana of the Mishnah over here by what? By Berachos Hamazon, b'di'eved could be yaitza. So now, he could be the Tana of Truma as well, because that also said b'di'eved. Elahot Tani Rabbi Yehuda b'rei Rav Shimon Pasi. Cherish Ella, so it says the Gemara. Ella Hatani, Rabbi Yehuda b'rei Rabbi Shimon ben Pasi, Cherish Hamadaber ben Shemeya, Toyim lechatchila. Now, another problem, you have a brisa that lechatchila, you could take off truma. Now we don't have anybody. Initially we had Rabbi Yehuda, but now we don't have Rabbi Yehuda, because we're saying, because of Berachos Hamazon, we're forced to say that Rabbi Yehuda says b'di'eved. Says the Gemara, loy Rabbi Yehuda, loy Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yehuda, ha'amad b'di'eved in, lechatchila loy. And Rabbi Yossi, ha'amad b'di'eved nami loy. So in other words, the same question we have Berachos Hamazon. Now we're having by truma, and even though the first brisa truma, the first Mishnah truma was the Eved, here you have a brisa according to Rav Shimon ben Pasi that filu lechatchila yes. Ella says the Gemara, you're right. Rabbi Yehuda, you wanted to say the Eved? No, it doesn't mean the Eved. Lo ilam Rabbi Yehuda. The brisa that says lechatchila is Rabbi Yehuda. Vafilu lechatchila nami. Lo kasha, right? Hadi day. Rabbi Yehuda holds lechatchila. The Rabbi, and that said, Berachos Hamazon lechatchila yishun b'di'eved yaitza would be his Rabbi. It's not Rabbi Yehuda. I name Yishun Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah. Rabbi Yehuda says the name of Elazar ben Azariah. Akari Shema Sarach sheyishmir le'oznai. Shenema Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. And Amar Rabbi Meir Harihu Oimer Ashrei Anochi Mitzav Chayom Asher Anochi Mitzav Chayom Al Babecha Acha Kabanas B'Leiv Hein Advarim. And as a few lechatchila, you don't even have to hear Kriya Shema. So therefore, we wanted to suggest the following. Rabbi Yehuda said, name Rabbi Yehuda Shimon Pasi, that Cherish that speaks in Shemaya Torah L'Chatchila, right? We wanted to say that would be Rabbi Yehuda, and the brisa of Berachos Hamazon would be the Rabbi Yehuda, and the one of Berachos Hamazon L'Chatchila would be his Rebbe. So now we have introducing Rabbi Meir, who says lechatchila by Berachos Hamazon. So Hashdas is the haki that we found in Tana holds Berachos Hamazon. I feel it in Rabbi Yehuda ke Rabbi Sfirulei. Rabbi Yehuda holds like his Rebbe that what that lechatchila you have to hear, but like Hasha, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda. The one that says a cherish is tarim lechatchila, right? That would be who? That would be Rabbi Meir. And the one that says Berachos Hamazon, that lechatchila, that would be Rabbi Yehuda, and that would be, that would be Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda. According to Rabbi Meir, a cherish that's tarim lechatchila, and Rabbi Yehuda would say no. And the brisa of Berachos Hamazon in the Mishnah Truma that said lechatchila you shouldn't would be Rabbi Yehuda. And the one that says, I guess the one that said Berachos Hamazon lechatchila was Rabbi Meir. Tan Hassam by Megillah, the same thing. Hakol Kshem Likra says Megillah, everyone's kosher to lay in Megillah, chutz micheresh shaita b'cotton, with the exception of cheresh shaita b'cotton. Rabbi Yehuda machshe b'cotton. Now, man tana cheresh the Eved nami loy. Who's the Tana who says that you would even feel the Eved a cheresh can't be mitzvah you? Rav Masna Rabbi Yossi. That's Rabbi Yossi of our Mishnah. That nan a cheresh shemav leishmil oznoi yotza. The Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Yossi amal yotza. Why? Because the cheresh you can't hear. So if you can't hear, it can't be mitzvah. Says the Gemara. Now let's go through the same dialogue again. How do you know? Dilmitz Rabbi Yehuda to say that Rabbi Yehuda would say to say that is Rabbi Yehuda. The Tani Cherish don't need the Shaita B'Cotton. The Cherish similar. Since you learn them in one signal, they must be similar to each other. Mas Shaita B'Cotton the Eved Nami Loi, just like Shaita B'Cotton are out of the ballpark. Av Cherish the Eved Nami Loi is out of the ballpark, and therefore what? And therefore, it can't be Rabbi Yehuda. It says, maybe Cheresh and Shaita B'Cotton are different. Maybe Shaita B'Cotton not, but Cheresh yes. And therefore, we would say that B'di'eved, like Rabbi Yehuda, he would be the Tana. Rabbi Yehuda, say for Rabbi Yehuda, Machshe B'Cotton, Mechal the Reisha, Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda first speaks in the Reisha by the Cotton. It must be the Sefer. He's introduced Rabbi Yehuda in the Sefer, must be until then he wasn't speaking. So how can you say he was the Tana of the Reisha and he was speaking all along when he wasn't? It says where Rabbi Yehuda he betrayed Gavni cotton. Maybe the whole thing is Rabbi Yehuda and two types of cotton, and one is Megil Chinuch and one not. And the price is missing words. Honey, I call Ksher Likra says on Megillah. Chutz Micher Shek to Bekotten. The Medamon Mamurim, these are the added words, Bekotten Shlei Gil Chinuch. And he's not Kasha. How to be might see others. Aval Kotten Shegil Chinuch, a Kotten that's reached the age of Chinuch, right? Maybe I feel Chatchila Kasha, you Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda Machshe Bekotten, right? So l'chayra, with that, you can say Rabbi Yehuda will be the Tana, totally, right? Because it's speaking about two different Katana. Cotton Shegil Chinuch, we might say the Chatchila, Cotton Shem might say it's the Fila, I feel a bit David now. But my Ukmis Rabbi Yehuda B'Diavad in Chatchila Loi, Allah the Tani Rabbi Yehuda Breda Shimim Pasi. Money. Lo Rabbi Yehuda says b'diavad. Lo Rabbi Yossi says I feel b'diavad namilo. And here we have a lechatchila. Says more. Rabbi Ferois. Rabbi Yehuda b'diavad in lechatchila loy. Rabbi Yossi b'diavad namilo. So how can you be lechatchila b'yaitza? Elamai, what do you have to say? Rabbi Yehuda feel lechatchila nami. Rabbi Yehuda holds I feel lechatchila, and because of the right the Brisa Rabbi Yeshua and Paz, Rabbi Shimon and Pasi. Allah the Tan lo Yevarach Adam b'liboy b'merch yaitza. B'diavad, like Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, Hama Fila Chatchila, Rabbi Yossi, Hama Fila B'diavad Namilo. So the Gemara again going back over the same sources, back and forth. Loilam Rabbi Yehuda, Loilam is Rabbi Yehuda, Fila Chatchila Nami. Even Chatchila Berachos and you b'Yossi, like Kasha, Hadi Day, he would hold the Chatchila and Hadi Rabbi, and the one that says that the Chatchila no, B'diavad would be his Rabbi. The Tanya, Rabbi Yehuda Mishmer Lazim and Azariah. Here's his Rabbi, Akar Nishma, Sar Sheyishma La'aznai Shnemar Shema Yisrael. Amalei Reb Meir, Hari Roime, Asher Anochim Mitzam Chayom Al Revecha, Achat Kavanas Alev, Hein Hein Advarim, I feel lechatchila. So Hashadas Lachi. Now we have a analyst lechatchila. I feel a tema Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Sfirle. He called like a Rabbi. I feel it b'diavad like Kasha, right? Like Kasha. Rabbi Yehuda. That Brisa Rabbi Shimon Pasi that was b'diavad is Rabbi Yehuda, and the Brisa is Rabbi. Excuse me. The Brisa of the Mishnah said that it's b'diavad is Rabbi Yehuda, and the Brisa of Shimon Pasi said the lechatchila is Rabbi Meir. Amrav Chisda Amrav Shila Halacha Rabbi Yehuda. Shama Mishum Belazim ben Azariah. The Chatchila you should have to hear. Allah Rabbi Yehuda that b'diavad if you yaitza. So Allah is the Chatchila you have to hear. The b'diavad yaitza. It seems to be you're saying the same thing, right? Why do you have to say the same thing? Once you told me that Allah is like Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah, obviously the Chatchila. So I would say the Chatchila you have to. B'diavad you don't have to. B'diavad you be yaitza. So why do you have to tell me that b'diavad you yaitza? So no, it's you have to tell me both. Tiash min Allah Rabbi Yehuda that what is b'diavad havamina fil lechatchila. Even lechatchila you'd have to hear. Kamash Malon Allah Rabbi Yehuda Shamim Mishum Belazim ben Azariah that what lechatchila you have to and not b'diavad. Tiash min Allah Rabbi Yeshua Shamim Mishum Belazim ben Azariah. Right? Havamina tzarich ve'emay takana lechatchila, and if you don't, you're not yotze b'diavad. Kamash Malon Allah Rabbi Yehuda fil b'diavad yotze. Amar Yosef Machlokes and Mishnah the din of Kairish Shema. Have to listen to your ears. B'kriyas Shema. There's Machlokes and Rabbi Yehuda who said b'diavad is good, and Rabbi Yossi said it's not good. Avul b'sham that lachas like that. Avul b'sham mitzvahs, any other mitzvah, any bracha that needs a mira, divya kola yotze, you not be yotze. Dechsiv haskes u'shma Yisrael. Listen up, listen to Yisrael. Mashma that any mitzvah that requires what the amira you would have to hear. So this din of Rabbi Yehuda is unique to Kriyas Shema. Mashen can any place you'd have to hear. Mesiveh it says lo yivarich adam birchas hamazon b'libo. A person should not lay in birchas hamazon in his mind. Then birch yaitza, and if he does your yaitza, so what do you say? Yaitza lashon of amira. So how can you tell me that you won't be yaitza? If you want to learn the statement of Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yosef machlokes b'kriyas Shema. The halachas is machlokes by kriyas Shema. The siv Shema Yisrael, where it says Shema Yisrael. Avol b'shar mitzvahs where it doesn't say Shema. Dirbiya kol yaitza. So you're going to the other extreme. Not pshati that you're not yaitza. Inachnami b'diavad you be yaitza. Right? The Gemara. What about the source that you brought? Baksiv haskes listen up Shema Yisrael. Mashma that what that you have to hear. Says the Gemara. Who divrei Torah ksiv? That's speaking about divrei Torah. The person learns Torah, he should hear when he learns. So halacha in Siman Samech Beis Sif Gimel. The halacha is tzarich lashmir la'oznei mashemaitz mipiv kriyas Shema you should hear, and if you don't hear it, b'diavad yaitza like Rabbi Yehuda, provided you might see it from your mouth. It says the Mishnah Berurah, this is all din Rabbanon, but he brings the das to the Rabbi, it's the Raisa, so should be careful. Try to go ahead and say the words and listen to it if possible. But if you don't, you yaitza. And it says the Mishnah Berurah, this din is also by the halachas of the brachas of Kriyas Shema, but well. The chatchili should hear the brachas, but the yevad you be yaitza, even if you don't hear. So to a birchas hamazon, should hear. If you don't hear, you be yaitza, provided again you hear the words from your lip. However, if you're mahara belibo, if you just think about it in your mind, you won't be yaitza, because what here is not kedibur. So if you see the words and you're thinking them, you're not yaitza. You have to be mitzvah b'piv. It's a big musa haskell for all of us. And Shulchan Aruch says the Gabi honest chain yachal likros b'piv. You're not able to go ahead and read it for whatever reason. Yikra b'liboy. You should go ahead and say it inside, and then when you get a chance, then you should say Kriya Shema. But like digdit b'oisiyaseha, we said if you korov like digdit b'oisiyaseha, Rabbi Yehuda said you're not yaitza, and Rabbi Yossi said it's okay. Amrav Tavi Amrav Yoshi halacha k'divrei shneim lahakol. The halacha is like both of them be makel. In the first the machlokes, the halacha is that what if you read it and you don't hear, like we just said, you'll be yaitza b'di'eved. And over here the machlokes in the second one when makel, if you're not mitzi it so correctly from your mouth, you will be yaitza. Amrav Tavi Amrav Yoshi my dichsiv the pasuk shalish heina loy sispeena shol va'oitzem rechem v'chima inyan shol etz rechem. Shol refers to Gehenim, the kever, and the rechem refers to the womb. So what's the tzushtel between the kever and the womb? What's the tzushtel? Ma rechem machnas maitzi. Just like the womb is machnas maitzi, it takes in the zera of the male, it's maitzi a child. Af sha'ol, so too what? The sha'ol, the kever, machnas, it takes in the body. Umaitzi be'ez Hashem, it will go ahead and maitzi out. Very, very comforting Gemara. What do you need a pasuk for? The rechem, the zera goes in quietly. The baby is born crying. Everyone's crying and being masked when the child goes, when the person's buried. Certainly, Rashi in Sanhedrin Tzadik Bey says is going to be blowing a shofar, so you're going to mami kol kolos. Mikan shuv remain tchias hamesim in the Torah. So here we see an unbelievable source. We bring in the Torah, even though it's a kal v'chomer, that you need a pasuk for. We bring a pasuk for the meaning who do not believe man in Torah Sheval Peh and tchias hamesim, and therefore we have a source for it. Taner Boshaya Kamei de Rava. Rabbi Yoshi recited in front of Rava, Chasavtem al muzos beisecha. It says in the Pasha, Kriyashul Chasavtem muzos beisecha. It could say Chasav, Chasavtam, Hakol b'Chasav. It says Chasavtam, it does say Chasavta, that Ksiva Tama. It has to be what? It has to be the whole Parsha, complete Parsha. I feel it's Savois. Even the commandments in the Parsha, Ukashartem, and you should tie, Chasavtem, you should write, have to be written. Amalei, so Rabbi said to Rabbi Shia, the Amalacham money, who is the Tana? Who is this that requires this? Rabbi Yehuda, it's Rabbi Yehuda. The Amar Gabi Saita, it says by the Isha Saita, the Chosav Esa Ola Sa'ela, the Sefer, and you write these curses in the Sefer, Umacha al Mehamorim, you erase it and the bitter waters. Einu Chosav Es Kol Parsha, you don't read the whole Parsha. El Rak Olis, you only read the curses. You do not read the Savas. It says what it says. But the tzavah that it says, for example, the kohen goes there and makes the woman swear, the shua. Therefore, you need to tell me, since by saita you do not write the tzavah, since by saita you only write the Allah, so you would think also here by mezuzos, and you do not write the tzavah. The whole parsha is written, right? Who the chsiv chasav alazos? Aval hacha the chsiv chasavtam afilu tzavois nami. Even the tzavois will. At the time of the Yehuda mission, frankly, the Gemara. At the time of the Yehuda mission, the chsiv chasav. It's not the reason. Time of the Yehuda, it's that you don't write the tzavah. Mission the chsiv alais. It says alais, so only the curses. Alais in tzavas lai. So why do you need a pasuk for the chasavtam? You wouldn't have a source to tell me otherwise. Bishlema, if you tell me it says the chasav over there, you only write, I'd say, and I have a source from Saita that you only write the Allah. So I'd say over here, you also only write the Inyani Mezuzah. You wouldn't write the tzavois, like you don't write the tzavois by Saita, you don't write over here. Mashenki, now that you're telling me that there's no chasav, there's no sushtel whatsoever, where would you think that what? That you don't write the tzavois, that you need the chasavtam? It's no, I still need the chasavtam. I would have thought, Neilif, you were learning Kseva Shava, Ksiv Mihasan. The chasav over there, chasav over here, ma chasam over there by Saita, always in tzavah loy, just the curses and not the tzavah, the shpia kohen, af hachanam it tzavah loy, you wouldn't have to write pshat and chasatem, chas rachmanu chasavtam, afilu tzavahs. Tani Rabbi Vadya Kamei de Rava. We have Rabbi Shia, Now we have a Vadia Kamei the Rava. It says in Maratem, Sheyehi Limudecha Tam. Your learning should be Tam. Your learning should be totally b'shleim. Was Sheyitin Revach Ben Advekim. When you read Kriya Shema, that the Oisia should not go ahead and be together. Hana Rava Basrei, Kigoin Al Levavecha. Al ends with a Lamed. Levavecha begins with a Lamed. So if you don't, you're mafsik, you create Al Levavecha. It sounds like one Lamed is connecting up the end of the Al and the beginning of Levavecha. Al Levavchem, the same thing. B'chol Levavchem, Chol Levavchem, Esev, B'sadeh, B'sadcha, Beis Beis, V'avadatem Mehera, Memem, Haknaf Psil, Pei, Eschem Yoretz, Memem. So these words, since they're like that, so therefore you have to be careful. Let's see Taisvis. The Taisvis over here. Taisvis says Taisvis. The third Taisvis Bein Advekim. You have to be mafsik Bein Advekim. Rav Alfis Meisif. The Rif is Meisif. You're going the Chora Af. If you read, you have to make a hefsik between word B'chora Af. Then Lo Yitin Revach as near Kamo B'chora Af, which means Havul means the blasphemy. Blasphemy. Okay, so therefore you're missing the word. If you read it quickly, it can be urisa moisai, and you see death. So therefore you have to be careful urisa moisai, that even though the two letters that end the first word and the next word are not similar, they're not the same letter. Nonetheless, reading them together can lead to what? To a mistaken of what Kriya Shema means. And of course, there's the famous and this Tosfos, guys. Shelo yashmiya shin yiskaru, because you say yiskaru, it's mashmi that you're leman sheyiyah lonu schar mitzvah, that we're doing it for the schar of the mitzvah. They ain't lonu lasis al mizdas kal pras. We don't serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the purpose of mikabel pras. So leisasuru, leisaskiru. When you say with the Zion, you say chen tzarich lahat Zion shall tizkeru. When you say people say tizkeru, we're telling the Zion. Instead of we don't want a soft there. If you have a soft there, it's going to go ahead and create a misplaced meaning. And the places read that. And the din is the Shulchan Aruch brings down is that in Siman Samach Aleph, Hezayin Tzarich LaHafsik Ben Hayom Al Levecha Ben Hayom LaHava Shlei Nira Hayom Al V'Lei L'Macher. It shouldn't be bad. Also in addition, like today and not tomorrow. And then he brings in all the halachas, the Zayin and the Levecha, the Yud of Shema. You don't be bothered with the Shema. Shleitei Revach Ben B'chora Af, as we saw in Tosfos. Shleitei Revach Ben Teva Shlechatchila K'Seif Teva. Words when they're similar, you be mafsik. The Mishabur brings that Eliyahu brings between the Shlah Hakadosh Tu Adim B'chol Aleph She'acha Mem. Any Aleph that comes after a Mem, Tzarich LaHafsik Kegoyin V'Avatem Elikim Acherim Einechem and Asher Zoinim Achareihem, Mem Zoinim Achareihem, Elokechem Asher. Any Mem Asher, you have to be careful to be mafsik between a Mem and an Aleph. Amrav Chama Rabbi Chanina Kol Akoyer Kriya Shema Umedagdi B'Yosesecha. Anyone who reads Kriya Shema and is careful to enunciate the words carefully, Mitzaden Lo Gehenim, they go ahead and they calm down the words of Gehenim. Shnemar, the pasuk says, a pasuk in Tehillim. Shnemar, it says, "Before Shaddai Shakai Melachim Ba Tashlik B'Tzalmein." When the Kadosh Baruch Hu, he scatters the kings, so there'll be darkness. Those in the darkness will be whitened. Al Tikri Beforish, don't say when he scatters. Ella Beforish, when he's mefarish. So Al Tikri B'Tzalmein, don't say in the shadows. Ella B'Tzalmavis, which means Gehenim. So when you go ahead and you enunciate Kriya Shema, clearly it calms down the fires of Gehenna. So I have a shot over here from the Beis Yosef that says the name of the Mari Avuhav. The Schar Medagdik Sheisal Gehenna. What's the tushtel? What is being Medagdik? Is Kiva Shema Oiris Atzmoi. Since a person goes ahead and is Moir himself, he arouses himself. Umeiniu es Choymoi Hatevi, and he goes ahead and he is cooling down his nature to read and not be so careful. And he has the strength, the fortitude to read Kriya Shema correctly. So again, space nature is to go ahead and I guess that if I heats, then read and not so be careful. You can go after. No, he's very careful. And since this chaim that is oira through his kriya shema, right? So that would go ahead and be mitzanin not the fire of Gehenna. Very geschmack of pshat. Very geschmack of pshat. It says the Gemara Baita. Omer Rav Chama Rav Chanina lama nismachu elay ayalim l'nachalim. Why are the words of tents right next to the words of nachal? It says kinacholim natayu kiganois alai, stretching out like brooks, like a gan, like a garden. Nahor kaholim nata, tents are pitched. Loimlecha manacholim mailim esaodim mitumah l'tayra. Just like go into the river, it can be mile you from tumah l'tayra. Af oilim mailim esaodim mikaf chayv l'kafskos. So too, the tents of Torah can go ahead and elevate a person from the kaf of skayv to the kaf of skos. It's interesting. Tosfos brings the word oilim. It means aloe. It means the boisim aloe, ALOE. So he says it's matovu lecha Yaakov. That's the tzushtal, the oil of Torah. The tzushtal of the oil of Torah. Hakaril mafreya yatsa. If someone's karil mafreya, he reads out of order, he's not yatsa. So Rav Ami Ravasi, Habi Kokachonle Ginono LeRebbe Lazar, they were going ahead and they were building a chuppah for Rebbe Lazar. So Amalahu, so it's Rebbe Lazar's wedding day. So Amalahu, Adahachi Vahachi, you're building this chuppah. Oslo ve'eshma Milsa the Beit Midrash. I'll go learn something in Beis Medrash. Mamish in his wedding day, he's learning. Rebbe Lazar going to Beis Medrash. The I'll come back and tell you what I heard. So Oslo Ashkel the Tana the Ketani Kamed. We found a reciter of Isis saying in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. If someone was laying in Kriya Shema, they made a mistake. The Ena Yadol Hekin Tov, but doesn't know exactly where he made a mistake. The Emsa Perek, if he made them is in the middle of the Perek, or the middle of a paragraph, Yachsel Roish. If she doesn't know which paragraph she go back to the beginning of the paragraph. Then Perek LePerek means between the paragraphs, and he doesn't know. Then Yachsel LePerek Rishon should go back to the first Perek. Then Ksiva LeKsiva. Let's say there's the Chsaftem about Mezuzah in the first, and the Chsaftem in the second one. Yachsel l'ksiva rishayna. Chasafim l'sei yedach. You don't know which one. Go back to the first one. So Amar Rabbi Yochanan said, right? Shanu that you go back to the first one. Shaloi ela shaloi pasach l'man yerbu. That only if you didn't say the words l'man yerbu, right? Aval pasach l'man yerbu yemechem. He began saying l'man yerbu yemechem, and then he said, one second, where am I? Sarchi noked v'asar. He had a habit, and therefore when he said l'man yerbu yemechem, it must be in the second ksiva. Reb Lazar came back and told Rav Ami Ravasi what he heard. They said, "You like bono elo l'shmoya davazeh dayan." If it wouldn't come just for this, not just to go ahead and make your chuppah, it would have been enough. Have a great day.